The Discourses of Christ of the Last Days.
Words on how to resolve corrupt dispositions. Excerpt. Man's corrupt dispositions, such as arrogance, self-righteousness, and intransigence, are a kind of stubborn disease. They are like a malignant tumor growing in the human body and cannot be resolved without some suffering. Unlike temporary illnesses that pass in a few days, this stubborn disease is no minor affliction, and a formidable approach must be used on it. However, there is a fact that you must know. There is no problem that cannot be resolved. Your corrupt dispositions will progressively diminish as you pursue the truth, grow in life, and as your understanding and experience of the truth deepens. To what extent must corrupt dispositions diminish before they may be considered purified? When you are no longer constrained by them, and you are able to discern and abandon them. Although they may sometimes show themselves, you are still able to perform your duty and practice the truth as usual, and remain conscientious and responsible, and you are not constrained by them. At that point, these corrupt dispositions no longer pose a problem for you, and you have already overcome and risen above them. That is what it means to have grown in life, where under normal circumstances, you are no longer constrained or bound by your corrupt dispositions. Some people, no matter how many corrupt dispositions they reveal, do not seek the truth to resolve them. As a result, even after believing in God for many years, their dispositions remain unchanged. They think, whenever I do something, I reveal my corrupt dispositions. If I refrain from doing anything, then I won't reveal them. Doesn't that resolve the problem? Isn't this abstaining from eating for fear of choking? What will the result of this be? It can only lead to starvation. If one reveals corrupt dispositions and does not resolve them, it is tantamount to not accepting the truth and dropping dead. What will be the consequences if you believe in God and do not pursue the truth? You will be digging your own grave. Corrupt dispositions are the enemy of your belief in God. They hinder your practice of the truth, your experience of God's work, and your submission to Him. As a result, you will not attain God's salvation in the end. Is that not digging your own grave? Satanic dispositions hinder you from accepting and practicing the truth. You cannot avoid them. You must confront them. If you do not overcome them, they will control you. If you can overcome them, you will no longer be constrained by them, and you will be free. At times, corrupt dispositions will still emerge in your heart and show themselves, giving rise to erroneous thoughts and ideas, and evil thinking within you, making you feel smug or high and mighty, revealing such thoughts. However, when you act, your hands and feet will no longer be bound by them, and your heart will no longer be controlled by them. You will say, "My intention is to consider the interests of God's house, to do things to satisfy God, and to fulfill my duty and loyalty as a created being. Although I still reveal this kind of disposition sometimes, it has absolutely no influence over me. This is enough. This kind of corrupt disposition will essentially have been resolved." Is the dispositional change of man vague and intangible? This is how practical it is. Some people say, even though I understand a little of the truth, I still have corrupt thoughts and ideas sometimes, and I still reveal corrupt dispositions. What should I do? If you are really someone who pursues the truth, then whenever you have erroneous thoughts and ideas, or reveal corrupt dispositions, you should pray to God and seek the truth to resolve them. This is the most basic principle of practice. You wouldn't forget that, would you? Furthermore, you should also know that when you have incorrect thoughts and ideas, you ought to reject them. You cannot be constrained and bound by them, let alone follow them. As long as you understand a bit of the truth, this should be easy to accomplish. If you reveal corrupt dispositions, you must put in the effort to seek the truth to resolve them. You cannot say, "Oh God, I have revealed a corrupt disposition again. Please discipline me. I cannot control my corrupt dispositions." If you pray like this, it shows that you are not someone who pursues the truth. It shows that you are negative and passive, and that you have given up on yourself. You might as well prepare a coffin and make your funeral arrangements. Tell me, what kind of person makes such a prayer? Only a good-for-nothing would pray to God in such a manner. A person who loves the truth would never utter such words. If you are someone who loves the truth, you should choose the path of pursuing the truth, and you should also be clear about how to practice. If you do not know how to practice, when these very ordinary problems befall you, then you are too useless. Resolving corrupt dispositions is a lifelong endeavor, not something that can be achieved in just a few years. Why do you harbor fantasies about attaining the truth and the life? Is that not being foolish and ignorant? In the process of pursuing a change in life disposition, the constraints of corrupt dispositions pose the greatest difficulty for every person. When people reveal a bit of a corrupt disposition, or reveal it again and again, and when they feel unable to control it, they condemn themselves, determining that they are done for and cannot change. This is a confusion and a misconception that exists in most people. Right now, some who pursue the truth have realized that as long as corrupt dispositions exist within a person, they can frequently reveal them, affecting the performance of their duty and hindering their practice of the truth. And that if they cannot self-reflect to resolve the problem of their corrupt dispositions, they will not be able to perform their duty adequately. Therefore, those who always perform their duties in a negative and perfunctory manner should seriously reflect on themselves and dig out the root cause of their problem to resolve it. However, some people have a distorted understanding and they think, all those who reveal corrupt dispositions while doing their duties should stop and completely resolve them before continuing to perform their duties. Is this a tenable view? It is a human imagining, and it is completely untenable. Actually, for most people, regardless of what corrupt dispositions they reveal while performing their duties, as long as they seek the truth to resolve them, they can gradually reduce the number of revelations of corruption and ultimately perform their duties adequately. This is the process of experiencing God's work. As soon as you reveal a corrupt disposition, you should seek the truth to resolve it, and discern and dissect your satanic disposition. This is the process of battling against your satanic disposition, and it is essential for your life experience. While experiencing God's work and changing your disposition, you use the truths that you understand to compete against your satanic disposition, ultimately resolving your corrupt dispositions and triumphing over Satan, thus achieving a change in disposition. The process of changing one's disposition is seeking and accepting the truth in order to supplant the human notions and imaginings, and the words and doctrines, and to supplant the philosophies for worldly dealings, and various heresies and fallacies that come from Satan, gradually replacing these things with the truth and God's Word. This is the process of gaining the truth and of changing one's disposition. If you want to know how much your disposition has changed, you need to see clearly how many truths you understand, how many truths you have put into practice, and how many truths you are able to live out. You must see clearly how many of your corrupt dispositions have been replaced with the truths that you have understood and gained, and to what extent they are able to control the corrupt dispositions within you. That is, to what extent the truths you understand are able to guide your thoughts and intentions, and your daily life and practice. You ought to see clearly whether when things befall you, it is your corrupt dispositions that have the upper hand, or whether it is the truths that you understand that prevail and guide you. This is the standard by which your stature and life entry are measured.